creepy crawlies, and welcome to another episode of. I'm sorry, I'll quit. Welcome to another episode of Ice Cream Queens. We have a fun show scheduled for this evening. First of all, let's go ahead and bring in our hostesses. I know that Lauren is backstage. Hey, how are you? I don't know why I love this goat so
The
much.
goat. Our introductory goat. Every time people are going to be listening to the podcast and be like, what is going on?
I know. There's a goat doing the intros. Hello, goat people. I know. I want a goat so bad. So bad.
I think there was a goat in a couple movies of what our topic is tonight. So you know what? It might tie in. I think there was.
Has Kat joined us yet? Is she? I know she was running a little bit behind.
Yeah, she said she was coming in hot, so we might have to wait on Kat.
Okay, she's always coming in hot. There's that. There is that.
Kat's always hot. I mean, she can't help it.
I know. That's pretty much a given. So, yeah, I know. Speaking of goats, I always want to go. I don't know how weird it would be. This is just me living out my ultimate witchy dreams. I want a miniature goat. I want a miniature black goat to name Philip that I can walk around on a leash around my neighborhood and scare the locals. I think it's a good plan.
That's a good plan. I mean, I have my witchy dreams as well. I feed the crows and I give them blueberries, and now they like reside on our house. We are the crow house of our street. They brought me a dead rat once.
I thought they were supposed to bring you shiny, not dead.
I thought so too, but I went down to where I leave them blueberries, and there was like a half torn apart, like they'd found roadkill, and they're like, "Oh, she's gonna love this," and brought me.
Okay, so I've always heard that if your cat or your dog, your pet brings you dead things, it's because they don't think you're a good hunter and you need to eat, and they're scared that you're going to die. I wonder if this is the same thing that's going on with the crows. Maybe the crows are just like, I don't see her eating, so I'm just going to bring her something dead.
Maybe. I don't know. I bring them blueberries, but I don't like blueberries, so I don't eat them with them. And I bring them nuts occasionally because they like that as well. But I don't eat those either because the nuts are hard and they hurt my teeth. So maybe they think that I just don't know how to feed myself. They did bring me a keychain once. I got one.
Oh, you did get shiny.
I got a shiny, yes.
Okay. I understand Kat is having some difficulties getting in, so we're trying to resend her a link right now. So just bear with us, and hopefully that should be coming. She should be coming our way soon. Well, I have also heard that crows love peanuts, and I have been desperately trying to get the crows to. I just want them to be around me. I just want to walk outside. I want to have my goat, my flock of my murder of crows, and have them just flying around me, and everybody just wonder what is going on with this person. All right, so you were mentioning. Let's go ahead and bring in June. June.
Yes.
Hi!
Hello, people of the internet!
How are you?
I'm great. I've had a huge, since the last time you've had me on here, I've moved. I'm in Colorado.
Oh.
Yeah, life has been crazy and exciting and weird and sometimes a little icky and smelly, but it's been a cool change. It's been really great. So yeah, we're doing good.
It's been almost a year, like exactly.
I was on for the last Pride month.
They think about we should have done a Pride we did Pride last year. Well, I'm sure.
Well, I kind of think that's why. I think that's kind of why we're picking the Nightmare Before Christmas.
I do it too.
I'm going to do it.
I do too.
I think that's why we're picking Nightmare on Elm Street, because it is such a pride-friendly franchise. And
I mean, just look at the second movie. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and I haven't seen a lot of the newer movies that's come out this last year, but I haven't heard of many Pride characters, much representation from this last year at least. So I don't think there'd be too much. We might have to skip a couple years and then maybe hit the topic again, which is sad, but That's how it is.
But life.
But life.
But life, yeah.
You, by the way, you look so relaxed, so rested. You look absolutely wonderful. So life is treating you well.
Thank you. I also live in a legal state. So
All
so that
right.
definitely
Life would
helps.
treat me well at that point too.
Oh,
Hello,
but I joke, I
Kat.
joke. But no,
Hi.
yay!
You
So
made
I don't
it.
think
Yes,
Kat-
I was having some email and some difficulties tonight, but we're here.
Yay.
Made it.
I don't think you met Kat last time. I don't think that
No.
No, Magda was on last
Hello.
time and Kat had to skip. So June, Kat, June.
Yay.
So nice to
Hi.
meet you.
talk amongst yourselves.
Nice to meet you.
Hello.
Okay. I'm so excited with this topic, y'all. I've been wanting to do like a deep dive into a specific, franchise or series, whatever you want to call it, for a while now. And so when we discussed it, I was like, this is the guest.
This is the guest. This is the topic. We're doing it. It's going to,
Yeah, I was super excited about this one.
Me
By the way,
too.
if you haven't heard the topic, because this is a podcast and there's people listening to us, we are going to be discussing the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, franchise, just kind of everything. Da-da-da-da.
Yay. Yay. Which
Yes.
leads me into how you can participate in the show. If you want to chat with us, send us a message, please do. And to make that easier, we have an audience participation slide or question slide.
Slide.
What is your favorite Kruger kill?
I had a hard time coming up with an answer for this one because there's so many good ones. But I'm going to let June go first because I don't want to do the same one as June, and I have a couple up my sleeve. So,
Well, I mean, there are some really great creative ones, but my absolute favorite is the cockroach kill.
oh, that was one of my tops.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, it's very Cronenberg.
Yes.
Yeah, one is very Cronenberg. It appeals to the nerd in me. Two, it's just gnarly. It's absolutely gnarly, and the practical effects in it were done so well. It like
Mhm.
that. I think I saw that movie for the first time when I was like 10 or 11, and that stuck with me hardcore for years.
Yeah, that's.
Never.
I think that might be my phobia of bugs. Just seeing that scene, in cockroaches specifically, I hate them. I would rather see a spider. I would rather have a spider on me than a cockroach. I lose my mind.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So that was one of my tops as well. I have a couple other just like really big top favorites, but I'm like a huge Kruger fan, so I almost wonder if like y'all want to go first because I'm going to be like my top 5.
Right. Same.
Kat, do you have a favorite? We're going to save Lauren for last since you've got a list.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah. Since Lauren's got a list. I don't know, like my favorite is still the first original one. I really, really like that one. I'm trying to think. God, it's been a while since I've actually watched the first movie too. I'm trying to think of who was in that one. Was it Johnny Depp was in the first one?
Yeah, there's Tina, Johnny Depp's character, the boyfriend, who was the waterbed scene.
Yes. Who was at the end? Didn't he die at the end in the bed, like with the fire? What am I thinking? Where he rises up out of the bed? I don't know why. Like that.
That's the geyser of blood.
Yes, that's like one of my favorite scenes right there. So I know that's not like one of the I guess characters that are supposed to die, but yeah, I don't know. There's something very iconic and 80s classic about that scene. I just absolutely love it. So I don't know.
DL?
I think Honestly, of course, everybody's going to go for the Johnny Depp scene because I mean, it's Johnny Depp in a half shirt being pulled down into a waterbed. It's kind of a gorgeous, beautifully done scene. You know, the blood geyser. That is the blood geyser, correct?
Yeah, where they had to flip the room upside down to do the scene.
Yeah, and that. Oh, yeah, I completely
Next on
forgot
the
about
ceiling,
that.
yeah.
There's
Oh.
actually a fun bit of trivia there. They lost control, the weight of the blood. There was so much of the water, the bloody water, that it threw the room off balance and it started spinning and it almost shocked the entire film crew.
Oh, I did read that.
Oh,
Oh wow.
Yes.
I
Okay.
think outside of that, my favorite though, because I mean, the Johnny Depp scene and the waterbed, that's pretty much a given. My favorite though is at the end when her mother gets pulled back through the teeny tiny window.
Oh, that's a good.
That's just and I'm claustrophobic on top of that, so I was just like, no. Okay,
That's
June, you're
good.
cracking up. What's going on here?
It looks terrible.
It's obviously a doll.
It's a doll.
I know it looks horrible, but it was creepy to me at the time.
Oh, I know, but no. Oh, at the time, yeah, definitely. But that's.
It's been a while since I've seen the original. It's been a while.
Okay, so I have a guilty thing to say on that. I attempted to show the original to my middle child because she was like, I want to watch a horror movie, but she's not like that into horror. So I'm like, okay, I'll give her some of the older ones aren't as like, you know, she was like, Mom, this is slow and boring. And I was just like,
yes, my mind does it too. No.
Y'all, honestly, the original is a slow burn.
It is.
It is.
It is. And they didn't really start like catching speed on it until about the third one, I'd say. The second one's a bit slow too. Although those scenes in the bus, the school bus with like the ground giving way and all that. I think that was originally supposed to be in the first movie, but they had to cut it. But it ended up in the second, and those were so good.
Yeah, those were great scenes.
I'm going to break into some of my top favorite kills. Okay. Carlos. I don't know if you remember Carlos. He was the character who had the hearing aid. And there is a part in his like nightmare where he loses his hearing aid and he's like wandering around and they brought the music down. Like you can't really hear anything with him. So you're experiencing it with him. And then Kruger pops up in the background and he waves off his hat and he's like, Carlos! And he's like hopping around, obviously being like, yeah, up in the background. But you can't hear it and Carlos can't hear him. And it was so... him just jumping around like an idiot like that was hilarious. But also it was terrifying. And then later in that same nightmare, his mom pops up with this like giant Q-tip, which I don't know, like I have a thing with water in my ears. I don't like water in my ears, so I have to like kind of like clean out my ears every time I get out of the shower. And this whole like anytime I'm have a Q-tip or anything near my ears just to like kind of get the water out, if anyone is near me, I'm like, don't come near me, don't come near me, don't come now. We are not having a Carlos incident here with the Q-tip through my brain. It's not happening.
I can usually handle like the Q-tip in the ear, like a kill through the ear. It's just don't give me an eyeball. I lose it on the eyeballs. I'm like,
yeah. My second top one, and I'm gonna say this is one of my tops just because as a younger kid, this one scared the crap out of me, but I'll explain why. I don't remember the character's name. Help me out here. Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, the one who turns into a puppet and they think commits suicide.
That's Philip. And that is my second favorite kill in the series.
Right?
Third favorite, you're probably also going to say.
So. Okay. Well, I'll take this one and then you tell me your next favorite one. Right. But the reason that one really stuck with me so hard is when I was in school at the time, and y'all remember Dare, like don't do drugs, Dare in school.
Yes. I was the president of my Dare character.
Yeah, they had.
Might have been high. I mean, what? Shh, no, I didn't say that. What?
They had this poster up on like every single wall in the school, and it was a kid like strung up like he was a marionette like that, and he was like, and it was just like drugs control you. And every time I would look at that and be like, that is that guy from Freddy Krueger. And so like I would see it every single day in the hallways, and that was the one that I was like, it's haunting me. Like I feel like I'm in my own Krueger nightmare right now.
I'm sitting here rocking with my goat because now I just remembered that when I had completely blocked that from my memory. I will have nightmares of that probably for the next week. Oh, really? I'm sorry.
Dude, what's your next favorite one? I have to ask.
Sorry.
Oh, it's Welcome to Prime Time. So ever since I was little, all I wanted to be was, on stage, an actor, anything, any kind of, that all I wanted to do was entertain. And so I immediately related with the girl that was going to be the actress in Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Immediately related to her. And then it was like, oh. And then she ends up with her head slammed into the TV. And that's, it's probably also like trauma for my parents going, quit sitting so close to the television, you're going to fall in.
Oh, I didn't think about that. That actually wasn't my next favorite. My next one would probably be the dun 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 dun, and the TV turns like
I hate that kill, and I'm gonna tell you why.
I love that kill.
I hate that kill, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because I have never known anyone to smoke a joint and hallucinate.
He's sleeping.
No, he was not sleeping, girl. Yes, he was sleeping. I mean, yes, fair, he was sleeping. But marijuana does not do that to you.
Okay, true.
But whoever wrote.
By the way, I hear the Cabana Boy laughing.
We don't know what that was laced with. Okay.
I was gonna say today's marijuana, could definitely true. Yes.
Fair. But this was, keep in mind, this was like 1994.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's when you had the skunk weed. That,
yep.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Y'all know. If you know, you know.
Do you have any other favorite scenes? Like, it doesn't have to be a kill, but just like quote scenes, because the map says where is so iconic. I say anytime I am lost now, or someone's like, "Where are we going? Where are we supposed? Where's the turn?" That's what I scream out. The map says we're.
Sorry, kid. I don't believe in fairy tales.
Oh, that's
the whole wizard master moment. That's a fun one for me.
You know, that character actually got that role because he was a D&D dungeon master. Like, he was into all of the nerd stuff, and they're like, "Oh, that's cool. You actually know what you're talking. Yeah, cast this kid. He's a nerd. He's a real nerd." That's how he got that role.
And a very nice guy. I met him at Texas Frightmare Weekend this past year.
That's
wow.
Cool. I wish we could have come.
Yeah,
we were trying.
We totally. I didn't get to go to the one you went to, and you didn't get to go to the one that I went to. We completely missed each other.
It's okay. Next year.
So one of the things that I really want to comment on that with the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise is the influence that it's had on the horror industry as a whole. Kat, I know you and I do believe Lauren, we've all been watching Stranger Things. And have you seen it? Have you watched it? No spoilers, hopefully?
Oh, no spoilers. But yeah, I'm waiting for July 1st so I can finish it. So I can see the rest. Like, I'm really, really ready to see the rest of season 4.
I haven't started season 4 yet, so sorry.
Girl, do it. It needs to happen.
You need to watch it. It is so ingrained in imagery from Nightmare Before Christmas. There I go again. Nightmare on Elm Street. And I'm going to do it several times, I know. Nightmare Before Freddy. Freddy.
We know what you're saying.
We're Freddy. And Hellraiser. I was surprised at how much influence Hellraiser had. But, you had Robert Englund, first of all, who is playing a major character, a bad guy, major possible character in it. But everything about this season is just steeped in Freddy lore. I mean, you have the dreamscape, which,
Oh,
you know,
absolutely.
the upside down has now become the dreamscape. You have, I mean, I didn't really catch this the first time around, but one of the major characters is named Nancy, and now she's
Yeah.
investigating.
And at one point, she's
Nancy,
dressed
yeah.
exactly like Nancy from the third film. There's
Yes.
a lot of Easter eggs for Nightmare on Elm Street.
All right, I'm gonna have to watch those now.
Yeah, you are. Just go ahead and do it, Lauren.
Yeah, dig in. You're gonna love it though.
Oh yeah,
This
you will.
season
So
is
much.
way more horror centric than all 3 seasons combined.
That's what DL was saying.
Yeah.
It was very like sci-fi kind of the first few seasons, and then this one she was like, "It's horror, guys!" She came on the show so excited.
It is straight up horror. I mean, the main character. Okay,
Oh,
so here's
wow.
Robert Englund, which I have met Robert Englund. He is a lovely, lovely individual.
Me too. He's a very sweet man.
He is very sweet, and it's probably I've met a handful of people doing cons and stuff, and usually I have not horror stories, but I have like wardrobe malfunction stories that go with every one of them. But Robert Englund is the one that I met, I love. He was just a super nice guy, and I was a bit tongue-tied when I met him. I couldn't think of it's like, hi, how are you doing? I was that person.
There you go.
Thanks.
Tongue-tied.
That's yeah, I kind of felt like that. Thank
Speaking
you.
of puns.
Oh god, that reminds me of that scene where the dude is making out with the chicken and their tongues get like wound up together.
What's the matter, Joey? You a little tongue-tied?
Yeah. So
Okay, so-
I've seen. Oh, go ahead.
No. You go ahead.
Well, I was gonna jump in and say, I've seen like I grew up on these movies. I absolutely. I have a Kruger glove tattooed on my leg. I grew up loving. He is my favorite series.
And that is why we get along so well.
So in preparation for this show, I actually didn't watch any of the movies. I started watching something I hadn't ever seen before, Freddy's Nightmares, which was the TV show that they had. I don't know if y'all know, there was like a Friday the 13th TV show, or like the Crypt Keeper.
Which had nothing to do with Camp Crystal Lake.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
they were just like, the Crypt Keeper was just the host, and then there were skits, and it's like that, but not. Like the first episode is entirely backstory on how Kruger got arrested, and it's good backstory.
It's very good.
And yeah, I was so super excited to watch all of this because I hadn't seen any of this before. Like I didn't know Kruger owned a freaking ice cream van. Was that like a second job? What was going on with the ice cream van?
That explains a lot, though.
Right. Well, I mean, he also worked in the boiler room at the school and all of that, but second job maybe. So it's like that. And the first episode is all backstory lore, and then it starts getting into just people from the town. But like he'll be mentioned here or there, like things will start tying together. It's all in Springwood, and it's all of the characters who have ties to how he was killed, or like the family members of such, or just people who live there.
And some it's just people in the town. It's it's almost like Twilight Zone.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's every episode is actually 2 individual stories that are slightly connected. Usually like the second story will be about a character that was like sort of a smaller character in the first story. It's very interesting, and they're actually, you know, the acting can be a little bit at times, but it was the 80s and it was on TV. I actually remember watching this when it came out on television. As it came, they released it on Tubi recently, and I was watching it and finding out that I remembered a lot more of these episodes than I thought, or I watched a lot more than I had realized.
Yeah, because I mean, sometimes you don't realize, oh, well, this is tied in with, because it's not 100% Kruger. He's just kind of like hosting it in between sometimes, but then sometimes it'll tie back into the Kruger lore. So it's really fun to watch and spot things. I was very excited sitting down watching that, and my daughter was just like, "Mommy, this is old." Yes. And I love it. It's very 80s. It's very cheesy. And like June said, the acting is kind of here or there, but the storylines tying in together, it's fun. It's a good, fun watch.
Oh yeah.
So when you go back and watch that, do you happen like I'm a huge fan of Twilight Zone. So when you mentioned that and you were talking about the story structures, when you go back and you watch those, you see actors getting their start.
Oh yes.
So I'm just curious when you go back and watch this the series, were there any actors you're like, oh, I don't remember them being in that?
Oh yeah, Lori Petty's in one of the episodes.
Tank Girl?
Yeah, Tank Girl.
Okay.
Yeah, Lori Petty's in an episode. Gosh, there's quite a few, and I can't. Shooter McGavin's in one.
Oh.
Can't think of his actual name, but the guy that plays Shooter McGavin in Happy Gilmore. So yeah, he's in one. There's a ton of people.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up some stuff now, but it's taking a minute.
A weird one, like. Only I would know this. So in one of the episodes, I think it's in season 2, there's a girl that plays a babysitter. The only thing I've ever seen her in, the only other thing I've ever seen her in was an episode of Saved by the Bell. One random episode of Saved by the Bell. But I remembered this girl. And it was the one with Haley Mills, the Good Morning Miss Bliss. Not the actual Saved by the Bell show, the first season. Yeah, random. That's how my brain works. Completely random, but always titillating.
And we get to use that word again today.
The word.
Of course, I use the word.
I thought maybe you'd forgotten.
No.
Is it Marissa Hargitay? Yes. She was on an episode, evidently.
Yes.
This is from the Cabana Boy upstairs.
And our friend Leslie Dean, who played Tracy in Freddy's Dead, is also in an episode called Cabin Fever, where she plays a stewardess.
Oh, fun. Interesting.
That is awesome.
So I want to take a moment, and we've got comments. They've been rolling, but we have, so let's, yeah, it's okay. So let's flash up a couple of comments and just see what everybody's saying so far. So Keisha Acuff says, I need to watch all the things. Haha. So do I. I'm trying to catch up. It's been the last year and a half. Of course, Eli, our friend Eli, there's something on the wing. Something. Oh, that's
because
Twilight
Zone.
Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute, it's Twilight Zone, Eli.
Yeah,
because we were talking about Twilight Zone.
Ryan Persimmon, somebody pronounce his last name, please, because I just tripped over that and I don't have my glasses. Permisson?
I'm saying
I keep on wanting to call him Persimmon. I'm like,
it's an anagram of persimmon.
Okay. Go back. We didn't read his comment. We're just talking about his name. So Eli Cash said,
oh, there we go. Nightmare on Elm Street is one of the best horror films ever.
We agree. Eli says, how about Robert Englund being in Stranger Things? Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Loving that. By the way, I found he actually approached them and asked to be.
Yeah, he's a fan of the show.
Oh, that's so cool.
I remember
the first time I ever saw a movie that was not Nightmare on Elm Street with him in it. I don't know what I was scrolling through horror movies just trying to find something, and it was like zombie strippers or something like that.
Yeah, he's in that too.
And I saw Robert Englund and I was like, we're watching it.
Robert Englund has been in everything, but one of the things that I remember, it was a made for television movie that Robert Englund played the Phantom of the Opera. Does anybody remember this, or is it just me? Okay.
No, it's a real thing.
I was starting to think I made it up. I remember I recorded it because you remember you could like record from like VCR and then I recorded it. I took it to college. I think somebody recorded over it. So I don't have it anymore. And I'm just heartbroken. I'm like, somebody messed up my Robert Englund Phantom of the Opera.
But I'm sure you can Google it now.
Yeah, I'm sure you probably find it.
as much as I love Nightmare on Elm Street, I love Robert Englund even more. It's just yeah. And honestly, with the reboot, what was with the reboot that came out recent-ish?
Rorschach. That's all I got.
2010.
Rorschach.
Yeah.
That came out 12 years ago now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And you
no.
just
Okay.
Oh wow.
I have.
okay.
I have.
Everybody, flashback. We're gonna make this face when you come back on. Okay.
I have opinions on this casting, and they don't match up with a lot of people. Like when I first saw Watchmen, and I saw him as Rorschach, I was like,
I loved him.
oh wow, he would make a really good Krueger. I saw him; he was a redhead. He had this kind of like grungy creepiness to him, and I was like, he'd make a great Krueger, and I still think he would. I just think he got dealt a really crappy script in hand. I think the special effects were terrible. They should have gone with makeup. I think
the CGI was
it was
awful.
so bad. I think he got dealt a really crappy hand, and I still think he would make a very good Krueger, which kind of falls in line with what Robert Englund. I don't know if y'all heard, but Robert Englund brought to a board. He was like, I think this is what Krueger should be like for any continuations, and it's kind of more along the lines of like each person would have a different thing that would scare them, so it would be a different person for every person's nightmares is what he had thought would be a good idea. And I'm like, yes, I love that.
I do too.
But I still think he was dealt a cruddy hand.
The actor is phenomenal. I loved him as Rorschach. I've seen him in a couple of things that I really enjoyed, and I'm trying to. There was something I watched recently that he was in, and I absolutely loved it. I agree. I think it was a crap script, and I mean, just the effects. And there's something to be said about trying to use so many CGI effects when the original movie uses practical effects. They were talking. I was watching something where they were talking about the scene where his arms like stretch. Oh, thanks, Leroy. Stretch. It's like it doesn't have the same effect if you're doing it CGI as you were with the practical effects. So I think there's a lot that goes missing from reboots because they try to rely too heavily on CGI where it really does need to be practical.
I definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah, that's like doing a Jaws movie and making Jaws the shark being completely computer.
Or just seeing the shark too much. Yeah, the whole idea was not to see the shark.
Yes. Okay, so I know some people have, because I know, Lauren, you actually went and got your happy little glove. But does anybody have any like merchandise? And you can run grab it.
Actually, I have a glove, but it's out of reach right now.
One moment.
I didn't bring it in here. I'll tell you what. I will tell you while y'all are grabbing gloves. The backstory, a little bit on Nightmare on Elm Street, is actually based on a factual event that happened in the 1980s, and there was a Dr. Larry Lumen who discovered that there was some it was a Southeast Asian descent like men that were dying that came over, and they were dying in their sleep, and that's kind of what I think inspired Wes Craven to write Nightmare on Elm Street, because you had these guys, they were dying, and it started happening right at that time, and it was called SUDS, which is similar, I guess, to like the children that die in the crib death. But it's called sudden unexplained death syndrome, and it's happened from workers that were brought in from Singapore, and it started in like 1982, and it kept happening through the 90s. And I think that was the kind of the forerunner to inspire the film, because these people were dying in their sleep. It was like a sleep paralysis type of death where they were dreaming and they were having like, basically, I guess it was like a heart attack or something in their sleep, but they couldn't wake up. And so very similar to the movie when you die and you see Freddy, and when you fall asleep, the whole idea is to stay awake. And I don't know, it was scary. People just, they couldn't figure it out. Doctors were just kind of baffled by it. So kind of a little.
I want to add a little bit to that
cool.
because I read an article very recently that was, it was basically a PubMed article that was talking about there is now a known connection to SIDS. So, because I know that you mentioned it originally, but the sudden infant death syndrome, which has baffled doctors for forever, and a lot of parents take on a lot of guilt from that. But there is a link that has been discovered now, and
wow.
so I'm
Really?
curious if it would be the same for SUDS.
For
which
SUDS, yeah.
I'm just
But
picturing
SUDS,
bubbles.
it
I'm sorry.
only no, it's fine. But what was weird is it only affected like Asian men. It wasn't like women. It was just guys, and it was of a certain descent.
I think it was Thailand. I want to say it was Thailand.
It was
That sounds
something where they
correct.
came over to work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
We did an episode one time, it's been a while back now, where we talked about incidents that inspired fiction movies, like true life incidents that inspired fiction movies. And I remember us talking about this one specific. All right, so
I'm glad
goodies.
you do. I don't.
We talk about so much.
have
It's
notes.
so easy to forget stuff.
Well, I have notes. You have to remember, I have like a big
That's
stack of notes that I
I have a
sometimes go back to.
big stack of notes too, but I throw them in a file, sadly, and it goes to that file 13 where you just don't ever look at it again. So, yeah.
I'm curious, June. What was your loot? What were you grabbing?
What did you go get?
Okay, it's my
Yeah,
prized
let's see
possession.
this.
This is my prized possession. It is a Freddy Krueger Living Dead doll.
Oh, wow.
See if you can see him. The glare's a little much, but he does talk. Let's see if we can hear him.
Oh my goodness.
Here, let's get close to the box. He's never coming out of the box.
He's laughing.
Okay, good. You can hear it. Okay.
Yes.
He's also signed.
Aww.
He's signed by Mark Patton, who was Jesse in the second film.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
He's signed by Brooke Bundy, who was the mom, Kristen's mom in 3 and 4.
Okay.
On the side here, he's signed by Ira, and I can't think of his last name right now, but the Wizard Master from Dream Warriors.
Oh, cool.
And Leslie Dean's got one right here on the back. Tracy from Freddy's
Love Leslie.
Hey,
I have my pop.
Oh, so cute. I love it.
I want to take this around and get it signed one day. I haven't gotten to meet many people from that franchise yet.
Okay, so I have something, and y'all are going to, first of all, think it's a sacrilege that it is out of the box, but he has been around for quite a while. I do believe the Cabana Boy purchased him after like the first movie.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
So, wait, it's even better.
The head, the face.
The head comes off. I have lit. June, close your mouth. I'm just
No,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm like looking at it, trying to figure out what his head is underneath that.
What is the head? Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
the
I think it's
doll
just
head
like a
under
Like, is it
traditional
just a
G.I.
Ken
Joe
doll?
head.
It's like, is it a Ken doll? What is that?
But like all of his clothes.
I think
Okay,
it
so
is.
all of his clothes are removable.
Freddy Barbie.
It's a Freddy
That sounds-
Barbie.
that's
I know,
so
but
funny.
yeah, he's your traditional. I mean, he kind of reminds me a little
good.
bit of a G.I. Joe character and everything, and I'm like having to keep all of his parts together and make sure that nothing falls off. But yes, this was. You talk about prized possessions. This is one of them. I wish we still
Oh,
had
yeah.
the box, but he was displayed for many, many years in our little. I can't get his head back on. Is that weird? I never thought I'd say that out loud. Can't get his head back on. Except for that one time. Okay, we'll come back to that. But So I've looked. So we've stripped him down. We looked like on his butt. We looked on his back. We looked everywhere for some sort of marking to determine what the maker is, like what year he came from. I have no idea. So if anybody in internet land remembers this character or this doll, let me know.
It looks like Barbie. It looks like Mattel. Like it looks like something Barbie made. It really does when you took the head off.
It reminds me of that, or what is it, Miko? Or I think it was Miko that used to create like the Wonder Woman dolls and like the shared. By the way, I had all of these like Wonder Woman and Cher and all of those kind of dolls. So, but I don't know. There's something I can't get.
You know, you've arrived in life when they make a doll out of you.
But it doesn't look anything like. I'm like, why can't it look like Robert Englund when I pop his head off?
It's Ken.
It looks like Ken.
Halloween costume.
That's the real nightmare.
It does.
Right
there you go.
That's the real nightmare. That is.
Oh! I found it.
You did?
Max FX. It's a really blurry old picture, but like there's the original outfit. He came in like a green shirt. Light.
Okay, so ours doesn't have the yellow shirt. Ours has like a black shirt underneath. It's like a black muscle shirt.
Yeah, so he's got like the pop-off head and everything though. I'm gonna send you this.
Oh, good. So yeah, evidently, if you take Freddie's
worth $200
shirt off,
on Etsy.
It's worth what?
$200 on Etsy.
Yeah, mine's out of the box. It's not worth that.
Yeah.
So I laugh at this because he's got Cabana Boy. Don't shoot me. I'm taking his clothes off. Maybe if you like take his shirt off, he's got a muscle shirt, so you can basically be Freddy Krueger, Suns Out, Guns Out.
Yes,
that's what I'm going for.
Oh my goodness, that's funny.
All right, so
match.
I think it's great you did take it out of the box so we can see what's going on underneath. I think it's fine.
Oh, I'm sorry. I know that you're not really supposed to play with like collectible items, but if you're not playing with your toys, you're kind of missing out. I think.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah. You gotta play with the toys.
I feel like that sometimes. Then there's other things that I'm like, if anyone touches this.
Oh, I mean, yeah, definitely. If this ever comes out of the box, I'm gonna cry. So, but mainly because the box is now very valuable.
Yeah, because it's signed and everything.
Well, that too, but I'm also the person, if I know that if my little brain thinks that it might be a collectible in the future, I'm going to buy two because I'm going to want one to play with, and then I'm going to want one to put up and keep potentially forever.
That's fair.
The worst. I am really bad though because it's like Catwoman dolls. I take them all out of the box. I'm like, I'm going to play with them. It's like I actually have like, it's like I take all of my action figures out and play with them. I can't help it. I'm a child at heart.
All right, so we've talked about some of the movies. We talked about the remake a bit, which everyone was upset about. There were aspects to it I liked. There were aspects that I like there was nods to the original. Instead of her running up the staircase and her feet fall through the stairs, she doesn't. And she runs up the staircase and you're like, oh, they didn't do that. And then she rounds the corner and she just falls into like the carpet there. And you're like, oh, cool. They did it, but in a different way.
Yeah.
I liked aspects of it. And I actually liked the casting. I did not like that they decided to turn him from a child murderer to,
Well, that was originally the plan. In the very first script of the very first movie back in the 80s. That was the plan, but they were like, this isn't going to go over well with audiences. Yeah. So we're just going to vaguely kind of refer to him as a child murderer. And actually, I want to say in the show, the Freddy's Nightmare show, I want to say it's mentioned that he was the scary P word.
Yeah.
Well, and I can understand with it being in the 80s, and it is a scary topic, and it's something that people shied away from. I think as we get further and further, people are using the scary P word as a means of horror because, I mean, it's real and it's out there, and it is a very scary thing. But the other aspect, I like that the reboot dove a little bit deeper into his backstory and his origins. Now, I want to say that the original, or was it the original movie that talked about that basically he was a product of sexual abuse?
Oh yeah,
SA, sorry.
From 3 to 5, there's the whole Amanda Kruger, the nun, the
Yes.
plot line with the being essayed by what
100
1,000
inmates.
or
Was it?
101
Yeah.
101 maniacs.
Maniacs, yeah.
In the asylum. So yeah, they added all that. It's that's not how that works, but hey, good effort.
Yeah. I remember the song "Son of 100 Maniacs."
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that was. I didn't like those movies kind of because of that. Like, yeah, they were creepy, and the whole asylum thing was creepy, but it really felt forced to me.
Yeah.
Like they were trying really hard to give some sort of reasoning behind why he was such an evil person, and that's just not how like things work. Sometimes people are evil.
Sometimes people are just evil.
Yeah.
Fun fact for you: did you know that in that scene where they're singing like those flashbacks where he's younger? Do you know who that is playing his father?
No.
That is none other than Alice Cooper.
Oh, I did know that. I forgot.
Wait, I knew that.
I know. It's fun when there's those little cameos. Like growing up, I didn't realize that Johnny Depp was in 2 of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies.
Yeah.
And then later as an adult, I went back and I was watching one of them and I was like, that's Johnny Depp. Like, this is your brain.
Mm-hmm.
This is your brain on. And I was like, and apparently in New Nightmare, they had a whole bunch of the old cast come
at the funeral.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they had a whole bunch of the old cast come to the funeral in New Nightmare, and apparently he was too shy to go ask Johnny Depp because he was already like he was becoming a really big star at that point, and he wanted to ask him to come back to do another cameo, but he was like, well, he's getting really famous now, and I don't think he'd want to do it, so they didn't ask him. And then later he was like, why didn't you ask me to do that? And he was like, I didn't think you'd want to. And he was like, well, yeah, I'd want to.
Well, so many people get their start in horror movies and then they just shift away from it. They don't ever want to come back and revisit it. So, I mean, I can understand where somebody would be like, oh, I don't want to ask him because he's getting famous now. But Nightmare is such an iconic franchise. Oh, gosh.
It is.
I call that the Susan Sarandon effect.
Well, why do you say that?
She was in Rocky Horror, and like for the longest time, she didn't want to talk about like Rocky Horror or anything to do with that. I'm a serious actress now. And then later she was like, okay, yeah, we can talk about it. But there was a while there that she was just like, no.
1 second.
I'm a no.
There's several actors that William Shatner is a perfect example. For many years, Shatner did not want to participate in like the Star Trek convention, stuff like that. And he kind of wanted to separate out from it. Was it Shatner? I think it was Shatner. But I mean, there's so many people who get their start in a franchise that they just don't want to be associated with anymore. But later in life, they come back around and realize what an icon it has become.
I was going to say, he does like oddities and mystery shows now. So you can't, it's great that he did it for that purpose.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you want to look at that same example, Matthew McConaughey, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Next Generation.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
That's a discussion for another day. I would like to know what each of your favorite film in the franchise is.
I'm going to go with I'm the original. I'm like, that's probably, it's not the first horror movie by any stretch, but it is probably the first one that I remember just really being freaked out at. Most of the time I was either watching with my parents and I was young. So yeah, my parents took me to go see horror movies, and I remember like watching them in the house and like peeking around corners when I wasn't supposed to be watching. Yeah, like, who's dying? Yeah. But yeah, I think when you have an original movie like that, I have a tendency to lean towards those because I think there's a lot of concepts that are created and presented that just don't seem to be there with the originals and or with the sequels in the future.
That is fair.
Mhm.
Kat?
You know, I like the first one and I like the third one. I think those are the two that probably are my favorite out of the franchise.
Was that Dream Warriors, the third one?
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
think so, yeah. Yeah.
So
It had a lot of that 80s music in there too. And like
Oh, yeah.
Dawkins or something. I don't know.
That was-
but
no,
It was.
no,
It was.
I
it
grew-
was
Dawkins.
Dawkins.
I
It was
grew up with all
Dawkins.
that stuff. So that's when
Every
soundtracks were huge with movies. And so that's the kind of stuff that resonated with me.
Nice.
Every time somebody says Dream Warriors, I start singing that in the back of my head. It's like,
I know, right? Yeah. And I think the
Oh.
video is even Nightmare on Elm Street too, if I'm not mistaken.
And
I
oh
don't-
yeah.
I haven't seen the
Oh.
video in a long time.
I would love to like remake one of those music videos just for like, I mean, of course it'd be like some low budget terribleness, but it would just be so much fun.
I mean, speaking of videos, y'all remember the Will Smith Freddy Krueger video that they almost
Nightmare
they got,
on My
sued
Street?
for?
Yes,
They got
yes.
sued for that almost. And then they're like, okay, we'll drop the case, but maybe we'll use it in the movie, the next one. But then they didn't. It was a whole thing. Okay,
Yeah.
on favorite movies, I'm gonna have to go with Freddy's Dead is my top. Dream Warriors is my third, and I'm gonna stop there because I have a feeling my next favorite is gonna be probably your favorite. So go,
Matchbox
June,
made
go.
it. So George
Okay.
said Matchbox made a Freddy doll.
Oh,
And Eli says,
wow.
I now want to rewatch
Ooh.
the first and check out the series. Yes. June, what is yours?
So it's what I call the Nancy trilogy. It's 1, 3, and New Nightmare. They could be their own separate thing, and I'd be fine. However, I think number 4 has the most badass kills of the whole franchise.
give me a
I think it
rundown.
has-
Which ones are those again? Give me a rundown.
Okay, so we have him sucking the breath out of the girl with asthma.
Oh, asthma.
Ah.
Yes.
Oh.
We have turning the girl into the cockroach. We
Oh.
have let's see, what else does he? Oh, he eating the meatball that's
Oh.
the brother's head. There's just some brutal stuff. Her jumping into the boiler room, pushing the cars on Kincaid. It's
Was
just
that the empty
it's-
swimming pool one? Which one was that one?
No, that's 5. That's
Okay.
5.
That one was scary. That one, you get on a diving board and you're like, I'm gonna go off the ladder again and go back down to the.
Hey guys,
Yeah,
I don't
no,
know if y'all
that-
are seeing
yeah.
this. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know if y'all are seeing this, but we're getting the little ticker across the bottom, which is our little indicator that we're getting to the top of our hour.
We didn't have enough
So
time.
sad.
I know we didn't.
This went way too
That was a
fast.
quick hour.
We didn't talk about a video game. We didn't talk about the adult
yeah.
movie
Yeah,
with the very special glove.
I
Oh,
never got
oh
to
my
that
god!
part.
What?
That's I don't watch that genre of movie. I'm innocent.
I don't. Yeah, we're so innocent. No, I was just researching for this, and I was like, "There's a what?" And I was like, "Hang on, I have to find a picture of Krueger and see what Krueger." Yes, exactly what I thought. Okay,
Is
and
it really bad that I want to watch it just because I want to see it now? Because I just want to know
Oh
what.
no, I kind of do too. Watch
Is that a
party.
girls'
We'll
night
have to have a
out,
watch
or is
party.
that a girls' night in? I don't know. What is that?
That's a girls' night, hang out, and then separate. I think I'm not really sure how that goes.
Sorry, gotta go to the bathroom. Sorry. The one that I am waiting.
Glove. Okay, sorry.
Is it waterproof? So the one that sorry, I broke Lauren. The one that I'm really waiting and anxious to see though is there is a documentary that came out very recently. I was trying to look it up.
Oh, Never Sleep Again.
That's it. Yes.
Yeah,
I was trying to
it's
find it because I
about 4
wanted
hours
to watch
long.
Oh wow.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Okay,
about 4
so
hours.
set
It's
aside a
real good
weekend.
though.
Woo.
Yeah.
Watch it.
Yeah, it's got some great information and some really fun like behind the scenes stories and stuff, and about how it was made, and yeah, it's great.
Okay, to Kim,
That'd
real
be
quick
good to watch.
before we go, can we get into the giant puppet that looks like the guy who eats the girl, and then the puppet itself just looks like a giant
Oh, the
Yes, we
worm
know.
puppet?
worm?
The worm.
Because that was-
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That was explicit.
a little bit.
I was well that. I mean,
Well, there was a
Horror movies
lot
were
of
known to be explicit anyway.
I was
you
about
know,
to say, I think we're going on to the same track here. Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot of under
there's a
hidden
lot
things.
there's a lot of like misogyny and fallacy. There's a lot of that kind of stuff in horror movies, especially in slashers.
Yes. And oh my
Yeah.
gosh, watching the TV show, I got about 2 or 3 episodes in last night, and the amount of times they had like a mom make out with her son suddenly, or these doctors make out over their patient, or like everyone was turning and just like there's a nurse and she's coming in and suddenly she's in lingerie. And I'm like, this
Yeah.
is- yeah, oh yeah.
There we
so
go. I was just
we
looking
remember
at
that.
if you
Oh.
cannot see, if you're on the podcast, they just pulled up a picture of quote the worm and
the Freddy worm.
it's
Freddy
Freddy
worm.
It's called the Freddy worm. Yeah.
Yes,
It's-
and there's some fun pictures of him eating some of the actresses. Yeah, DL's pulling up.
That is
some of the pictures
Patricia
now.
Arquette, actually.
Yeah, I was
Mhm.
just trying to figure that out. I'm like, you can see my ring light on it, so sorry. But yeah, there's
Yeah.
nom nom nom.
not at all phallic there at all.
So
Oh,
we're
no.
running out of time. June, if we want to find you, if people want to find you, I want to find you.
Yes, I forgot to put my little at down there.
It's okay. Tell us.
So it is at June JUNE _ cleavage, like boobs,
Like boobs.
Like boobs.
on Instagram or TikTok. You can also just look up June Cleavage on Facebook and like me there.
And if you have not
Awesome.
checked out June Cleavage, I highly recommend. They are
Oh,
absolutely hilarious.
And she
Oh,
loves to be
yes.
checked out.
And she loves to be checked
Yes, please come check me out. I'm pretty funny.
out. Oh, it is really fun to horror nerd with you. I'm so
Yes.
glad you came back on the show again.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so fun. I've been dying to talk horror movies with somebody for a while too.
Well,
And
you're-
Nightmare, of course, I'm there. It's my absolute favorite franchise of any horror movie.
and I love having you on because you're so knowledgeable. You're sitting here like we pull up a picture of a movie and I'm like, that's this movie with this character. And you're like, oh, here's the actress's name. That's the year it came out. And I'm like,
I like we're the ones who are
Okay.
supposed to know.
Yeah, I was
but
just saying,
it's like-
we're going on Jeopardy with June.
Yeah. Is there a horror edition of Jeopardy?
We're in.
Oh,
We're
we
in
need
my
to be on the
wheelhouse
game
right
show.
now.
We're going to the
Yes.
game show.
What can I say? Nightmare is my wheelhouse. Like absolutely.
I'm
My-
just saying, I don't know
Yeah.
that is a show, but hey, show idea.
Shouldn't it be right?
Horror facts, horror fun facts.
Right.
I hate to cut this short, guys, but we are officially over the hour, and I am getting the message to say pleasant screams.
Bye.
We'll see you soon.